Okay, so here we go. Now, I should have started this video a little earlier, but I already started removing the plugs for the screw holes, and by the time I remembered, I had already gotten started doing, loosening up this trim here. But anyways, I'll fill you in very quickly what I did not record. So I am putting security film and I am loosening the trim so that I can get the security film underneath the trim so you can't even see that it's there. I have my suction cup on the glass because if I loosen these screws too much, worst case is that glass panel could fall and break. That would be a disaster. That'd be horrible. So I've got one hand on the suction cup and I've got one hand trying to loosen the trim. It's always the bottom that seems to be the most stiff or hardest to separate. Um, the top and the sides come apart, quite easily. I don't know if you can see, but there is a gap right now. And I'm just trying to loosen it just enough so that I can easily put my security film underneath the trim all the way. And I should have loosened those screws probably a little bit more. That's what's making it a little tough, even though I'm used to the bottom being a little bit harder. I guess it's just because the glass insert is a little heavy and then gravity weighs down, so it doesn't really want to pull apart. So I'm approaching it from both sides, the inside and the outside, just little by little. And I'm using probably a 2-inch scraper. So now I'm pretty happy with the bottom, and I'm just doing a check and going around the sides to make sure I have a gap. Next thing I want to do is I want to wipe down the trim. You might not be able to see it, but there is a little bit of dirt and dust, and my film might get close to those areas. I don't want it picking up any dirt or any dust, so I'm just using the slip solution to clean it, and I'm using an ordinary paper towel. And unfortunately, I went a little deep there. I pushed a little bit too hard, and I got a piece of my paper towel stuck in there, but now it's out. Giving it a final check with the suction cup. That's the scariest moment of this whole thing, because once I release that suction cup, if I press too hard, that glass could fall through. I'm giving a little bit of a spray because I'm about to scrape the entire glass with my scraper, my Triumph blade scraper. No, this will not scratch the glass. The metal is designed to be used on glass. It's not going to scratch. Typical things I'll probably see when I'm scraping the glass like this is little bits of paint when maybe the homeowner painted the walls, little tiny bits of paint gets on the glass, or just kind of grease and oils from people's hands and touching them, and I'm doing the whole piece of glass. I'm just giving it a scrape. So now that that's done, I like to shoot a little bit of um, solution under the trim. There might be some things from time of manufacture, some dust, all things that could eventually work themselves into my film. So I just blast it. Now, whatever I've loosened with the scraper, or whatever I've missed, I'm doing a final squeegee to make sure there's absolutely nothing on the glass. There's me just thinking I saw something. There, wiping it off. And now I'm wetting down my piece, and I'm about to install my security film, which I cut on my cutter off to the side. Okay, so there is a bit of static. This is basically plastic, and there is a bit of static that I don't want anything, clinging to my film, so I wet it down first. And now I've just separated the liner from the film, and what I'm exposing is the glued side of the security film. Now it's time to quickly wet it down, give it a good soaking, and also wet the glass. And I'm trying to get the piece of film is cut bigger than the glass, so I'm working this film underneath the trim, starting from top to bottom. And it looks like I got the bottom right corner in, and I'm just struggling to get that bottom left corner in. When I was looking up, that was me just even trying to push it up a bit, doing what I can. Um, Pushing with my fingers is not helping, so I'm just grabbing my hard card. You can see those little bubbles starting to develop everywhere on the film. Now I'm just repositioning the film to making sure that it's all underneath the trim and it's even. Okay, now I'm going to be doing some light squeegeeing. It might be hard to see because the sun is shining, but there is quite a number of bubbles. First thing I like to do is just get a plastic scraper. Now I have to be careful what I'm using on the film because that other metal scraper, like before, it could scratch the film. So it's just plastic. I like to seal the top and the sides, and now I'm working quickly to remove as much of those little bubbles. If I don't remove those bubbles in time, they're going to show up and they're going to dry up in the film. So the squeegee that I'm doing is really good for getting rid of the bubbles, but for some reason when I get to the edges, it just doesn't seem, I don't seem to get the contact that I need. So I'm using a combination of both. I'm trying to work from the middle out to get rid of the bubbles. And I'm just progressing downwards, and I'm slowly, this is a frosted piece of glass, so the bubbles might not be as visible, say, on a clear piece of glass, but you can look out for another video that I'll be posting for sure. By the way, I do security film and window tinting in the Greater Toronto area. If you or somebody else is interested in this service, you can DM me, you can reach out to me. And I'm not doing an extremely hard squeegee. That's not the point right now. The point is just to get rid of the bubbles. And I have to be careful about how hard I press. Remember, this glass panel is loose. I'm working with a loose panel. And the worst thing that could happen now is if I press too hard, the screws will not hold anymore and the glass could fall forward and break. That'd be horrible. What you're seeing there is I'm just going over and over in the bottom piece. It looks like there's a collection of bubbles there that's giving me a little bit of a hard time, but I'll get rid of them. Okay, now I'm just using my fingernail and I'm making sure that while I was squeegeeing, I didn't move the film. And again, I'm just going around. There are some bubbles that are close to the top and the sides, and I'm just working them down with my plastic scraper. And I'm satisfied now. So because I'm going to be squeegeeing a lot harder now, I need to secure the glass. So I will tighten up the screws at the top of the bottom, because when I push water out, I push the water to the sides. I don't push to the top. Pushing to the top can just make some contaminants fall down into the film. So I work my water out from the left to the right as much as I can. Yeah, giving a little check there, making sure that my film is in the right place. Now I'm going to be pushing a little hard. I've got the top, but I can just there's probably like 5 screws on each side. So I just tightened, one on the left, one on the right. And I'm going to be pushing harder, and quite a bit of water has gotten on the tiles. And so even though I am wearing Crocs, I can slide away. So I was just dropping out some paper towel to just dry up the area below me. And now I'm going from top to bottom, side to side, and I'm squeegeeing the excess water. There still is quite a bit of water underneath the film, and it needs to be removed. That is a 5-inch squeegee from Fusion 5 tools. Probably 2 or 3 passes will be good enough. Now I'm starting to tighten down everything, and then even as I start to tighten everything down, bubbles can appear, bubbles can come from the side. So I'm just tightening them down, maybe not all the way, but a lot more than what they were tightened with before. Now that I've gotten rid of most of the water, which is something you need to do quickly because, you know, anything that's still there, anything that dries up, you know, is going to show up in the film, and you just don't want that. So I'm giving a final wipe around. The corners are funny. Sometimes, you know, when you tighten them down, bubbles will appear. They'll kind of push back into the film. And what I like to do is, I think that's what's happening here. So what I like to do is, with my finger, I like to hold down the film and then tighten, and that seems to keep bubbles from entering under the security film. Okay, the installation is complete, and now I'm just snugging down all the screws. And that's it. That's a wrap. I'll replace the plugs, and that'll be the end of this installation. Thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one. Bye.